দেখেন না ফাস্ট ফরওয়ার্ড করে দেখে নেবেন। আমি তো খেয়ে দিয়ে কাজে রাজি হয়ে করি। যেটা দরকার সেটা ফাস্ট ফরওয়ার্ড করে দেখে নেবেন। Your name, Prabhu? Your name?
No, Marcel.
Huh?
Marcel.
Marcel?
Hey.
Full name? What's your full name?
No, I don't have that.
महाराज की जय, श्री प्रभुपाद की जय, श्री वीरेंद्र की जय, प्रेमानंद।
All the way from Duluth, let's give a round of applause for the wonderful devotees. Yes, Prabhuji.
We can come to here.
New York, all the way from New York. Anyone else here for the first time coming?
New York.
Yes, where are you from?
New York.
New York. So let's give a round of applause for the devotees. You are from New York? We've got a lot of devotees from New York. We just had a beautiful Rath Yatra in New York. Saturday. Who has attended Rath Yatra in New York? You have attended Rath Yatra? Yesterday? Oh, very nice. So many devotees went there from all over North America, India, and this.
It's about 15,000.
Huh?
About 15,000.
15,000 people. Wow. Great. Prabhupada said in New York, we'll have the biggest Rath Yatra in the world. We are having it now. Prabhupada world. Big Rath Yatra. So now we will have a Sunday feast lecture by His Grace Goparaj Prabhu. And he's going to speak from chaitanya.Every. And Goparaj Prabhu is a direct disciple of His Holiness Jai Pataka Sai Maharaj. Let's give a round of applause for and welcome him. Hare Krishna, one more. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So after the Sunday feast lecture, we're going to have more kirtan. There will be mini arati for the Sunday sponsor, and then we'll have more announcement, and then there will be prasadam for everyone. Please do not leave without taking prasadam. So those who have come first time, and if you don't have a copy of Bhagavad Gita, please collect from the table outside. We have a devotee, myself will be there, the other devotees will be there. You can collect a free complimentary Bhagavad Gita. So this is, I know there are devotees who have sponsored this Bhagavad Gita and they want us to distribute these books. And if you think we have it, if you can give it to somebody that can study Bhagavad Gita, you can give those Bhagavad Gita to them also. Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So again, welcome everyone to the Sunday Love Feast. I'm just going to open up my notes for reference here. Today we're speaking some of the instructions given by Lord Chaitanya to his dear devotee, Sanatana Goswami. This is a very long chapter, so I've tried to just pick out some of the essence, because it's a very deep chapter about devotional service, about devotees, so on and so forth. So hopefully we can get some of that nectar. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda. Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Mukam Karti Vacharam Bhangam Nandayati Viryat Vipatamaham Pande Shri Guru Sikaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Bhaktitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So my obeisances literally to everybody here. Thank you for kindly allowing me to be before you and try to repeat some of the nectar Srila Prabhupada has given us. I never care for a broad introduction like Sweta is giving, that such and such and such about such and such. You can all just call me Goparaj or Goparaj Das. If you ever have any question about anything I'm saying, kindly don't be shy to ask. So we're going to start with this chapter. This is the Madhya Lila, which means the second volume, if you're not familiar with this book that Srila Prabhupada translated. And this is all the way into chapter 20. So this first verse I would like us to do together. Vande Nata Bhutaishwaryam. Vande Nata Bhutaishwaryam. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhum. Nichopi Yat Prasadat Syad. Nichopi Yat Prasadat Syad. Bhakti Shastra Pavartaka. So the translation by Srila Prabhupada. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has unlimited, wonderful opulences. By his mercy, even a person born as the lowest of men can spread the science of devotional service. So please repeat. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who has unlimited wonderful opulences. By his mercy, even a person born as the lowest of men science of devotional service. So it's a wonderful verse. This verse written by the author of Chaitanya.Every, Krishnadas Kaviraj. And he is giving us the opportunity to understand what is real humility and actually who Lord Chaitanya is. Important. Of course, if this is your first time hearing about Lord Chaitanya, then it will take a little bit to get more and more acclimated. But for our benefit today, here we see on the center altar, on our right-hand side, with arms raised, in this purple outfit, is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki! And on his left, or on his right, our left side, is his brother, Lord Nityananda Prabhu. Sri Nityananda ki! So I'm introducing these personalities. Most of you, or many of you, are familiar to some degree. But imagine Krishna is right here with us. The tendency is to come in and see the deities. Altar is nice, there's some flowers, there's some decorations, and that's it. We have to continuously keep in mind, Lord Chaitanya is here performing his pastimes continuously. It's not some type of idol, some type of statue, something carved by somebody with no knowledge. It's a whole process to understand the Archa Vigraha. That means the divine scent of the Lord in a worshipable form that we can actually see. Why does he do this? Because we're in the material world. And our senses, our sight, hearing, taste, touch, all five of our senses are totally polluted. So we can't see God. We can't hear what he's saying. Krishna is always playing his flute. If we look at Sri Radha Madan Mohan, we see Krishna is playing his flute. Can anybody hear the fifth note that he's vibrating? Don't be shy, no. Nobody here can actually hear it, except Srila Prabhupada. Why? Because we need the purification to hear it. So the tendency when you come to the material world, that's why we'll say, oh, that's a nice form, nice statue, and it's not doing anything, it's not moving. It's because our eyesight, our hearing, our taste, touch, and smell are all polluted. So if Krishna is dancing, we're at a point where we can't see it right now. He's playing his flute, we're at a point where we can't immediately hear it. So we're going to get some nectar from Lord Chaitanya himself. Jaya Jaya Sri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Dvaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. All glories to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all glories to Nityananda Prabhu, all glories to Advaita Acharya, and all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Text 56. Prabhu kahe Tomas Pashi Atma Paviti Trite Bhakti Balai Paratumi Brahmananda Shodite. The Lord replied, I'm touching you just to purify myself, because by the force of your devotional service, you can purify the whole universe. So here Lord Chaitanya is directly speaking to Sanatana Goswami. And many of you might have heard this very nice pastime, how Sanatana Goswami came there to visit the Lord, to see the Lord. It's a whole long story about how he actually had to literally bribe his way out of jail. Can you imagine? A devotee in jail had to bribe his way out of jail and fool his former boss and just leave so he could travel and meet the Lord. But it's a very elaborate, long pastime. Why Sanatana went through this. Again, this whole thing is for our benefit. But Lord Chaitanya is telling him after this first meeting that persons like him, like Sanatana Goswami, are themselves very pure. So the Lord, can you imagine? Lord Chaitanya wants to be purified by touching his devotee. We have to stretch our imagination to even try and understand that. So text 58, here Krishnadas Kaviraj quotes a verse from the Hari Bhakta Vilas. This book, this work was written by Sanatana Goswami, but it gives us some insight to what's going on here. Name bhaktas chatur vedhi mad bhakta swapacha priya tasmai deyam tato grayam sacha pujo yata hiyaham. Translation. Lord Krishna said, even though a person is very learned scholar of Sanskrit, Vedic literatures, he is not accepted as my devotee unless he is pure in devotional service. However, even though a person is born in a family of dog eaters, he is very dear to me if he is a pure devotee who has no motive to enjoy fruitive activity or mental speculation. Indeed, all respect should be given to him, and whatever he offers should be accepted. Such devotees are as worshipable as I am. Amazing verse. Just meditate a moment on what Krishna is saying there about the nature of a pure devotee. Srila Prabhupada was a pure devotee, and we can see the result of his activities by coming to the West. Yesterday at the Super Saturday program, Sweta Swarup Prabhu gave a very nice synopsis of Srila Prabhupada's pastimes of coming to the West. Why did he come? How did he come? The difficulties. Most of you may have heard, Srila Prabhupada traveled on a steamship. It's a very primitive form of travel compared to Delta Boeing 747. It took over a month of time to travel. And when you're on the ocean, how many people have actually traveled on the ocean? Anybody? One. Got a couple here. You know how it can be. And if you're not accustomed, you get this condition, these landlubbers get this condition called seasick. That's nothing. Srila Prabhupada had 2 heart attacks aboard that steamship. The captain was at a point where he thought, this old gentleman, he's not going to make it. And who would not think that? Srila Prabhupada at that point was 69 years old. Most of us are like retired by that, or trying to retire by that time. But Srila Prabhupada was like somebody in this prime of his youth, traveling on this steamship coming to the U.S. Because he had one goal, to carry out the order of his guru. So again, a very important lesson can be learned, what we have to do in this lifetime. We have to really search out a guru and do what he says. So let's get a little bit more into this nectar. Ke ne amaya jare tapatray iha nahi jani ke mane hitaya. Who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? If I do not know this, how can I be benefited? Extremely important question for any human being on this planet to ponder. Who am I? What am I doing here? Of course, most of us, we get this question at some point in our life. Especially when you get fed up with something, or when somebody's making you very aggravated. So these threefold miseries, miseries from your own mind and body, that's one type. Miseries from other living entities, could be a mosquito or even your best friend. Other living entities can cause us problems. And then miseries from the demigods. But what do I mean like that? By that, I mean the aspects of nature that we have no control over. So from the Bhagavatam, we learn that certain demigods actually control the higher physical nature, like storms, droughts, deserts. So many things like this are under the control of demigods. We have no control. If a tsunami comes in, we're just wiped out. If there's a hurricane coming through Atlanta, can you stop it? You might have time enough to send a siren, but what is that? Nobody's prepared for these things. So these three types of miseries are going to be there throughout our lives. They're going to be affecting us. So Sanatana Goswami is asking Lord Chaitanya, who am I? What do I do about these things? What can one do about this? Yaya Kshetrajya Shakti Sa Veshita Nripa Sarvaga Samsara Tapan Akilan Avapno Yatra Santanatan. Translation. O King, the Kshetrajya Shakti is the living entity. That's us. Although he has the facility to live in either the material or the spiritual world, he suffers the threefold miseries of material existence because he is influenced by the avidya. Avidya means nescience, ignorance. The nescience potency, which covers his constitutional position. So a key verse to understanding our position. When you take a material body, when you're born, you become covered. That is the mode of ignorance. Everybody, and no offense intended, everybody here even, everybody in Atlanta, everybody in this planet, born in the mode of ignorance. You've taken a material body. So if we meditate on that point, it's very eye-opening. Because the first thing you're thinking, well, I don't really want, I want a body that doesn't break down. How many would buy a nice car if they knew in 2 or 3 months you'd be at the mechanic shop putting another $3,000 in it? You wouldn't. But that's the situation we have right now. We've got this material body. So with it is inherent certain problems. Even when you surrender to the Guru and become an initiated disciple, doesn't necessarily mean Krishna is going to now just place you in the spiritual realm. He will mitigate many of your problems, but it doesn't mean it's all over. Only when you leave this body will all that type of activity cease. So I have an excerpt here from Srimad Bhagavatam because it gives a deeper insight into this subject matter of what we're talking about. This is from the first canto, chapter 10, text 22, where Srila Prabhupada gives a very nice purport. Saeva muyo nija virya choditam swajiva mayam prakritim Shatim Anama Rupa Mani Rupa Namani Vididsham Mano Nusasara Shastrakrit. The personality of Godhead again, desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entity, placed them under the guidance of material nature. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate. So this is basically, we're just getting a description what happens in the material world. This material world, everybody is trying to understand why he or she is here, what's going on. Some very, very scholarly, scientific-minded people are searching after answers. Everything from how did life begin to what to do about colon cancer. They're searching for all these answers and haven't been able to find anything definitely conclusive to say we have it. So we're going to see why that is so. The living entities are parts and parcels of the Lord. They are of two varieties, namely Nitya Mukta and Nitya Bhada. The Nitya Muktas are eternally liberated souls, and they are eternally engaged in the reciprocation of transcendental, loving service with the Lord and His eternal abode beyond the material, mundane creations. So this statement is telling us, sometimes our mind just kind of keeps us in our own neighborhood. We're talking about not only the universe we live in, but everything you can see out there. We've sent out giant telescopes to search this whole universe, but still, we're only in one universe. Krishna has so many universes we can't fathom. They're all material. Think of it. So many universes we can't even fathom. And they're all material. So there are a lot of beings in these universes, a lot of types of beings, and a lot of places that one can go. Don't think of sightseeing. This is not a tourist attraction. Don't get caught up in it. Because there are 8,400,000 species of life. Of those, 400,000 species of human beings. And Srila Prabhupada explains in the same Srimad Bhagavatam, right now on the planet Earth, there's only one species of human being. There are 400,000 species, but right now there's only one on our planet. So where are all the others? Do you think for one moment that this vast universe that when you look out at night and see all the stars, it's just empty? Oh, it just happened to be there. And I just happen to be here suffering in this material world. No. There's no such thing as an accident. Nothing is accidental. We continue. We just understood who the Nitya Bhadas are, meaning eternally liberated. They're always in the spiritual world serving Krishna in so many capacities. Now the Nitya Muktas. The Nitya Bhadas, that's what category we come into. Nitya Bhadas are eternally conditioned souls, are entrusted to his external energy, Maya, for rectification of their rebellious attitude toward the Supreme Father. Nitya Bhadas are eternally forgetful of their relation with the Lord as parts and parcels. They are bewildered by the illusory energy as products of matter, and thus they are very busy in making plans in the material world for becoming happy. They go on merrily with plans, but by the will of the Lord, both the plan makers and the plans are annihilated at the end of a certain period, as above mentioned. So that's our plight. We're born into this world, and then, because our parents treat us so nicely, we think we belong here. It's a simple fact. How many parents from the very beginning had this knowledge to say, I'm glad you're here, but you got to start preparing to leave? Is anybody's parents actually on that level where they could give them this knowledge? Especially in the Western countries, before Prabhupada came. It's all just nonsense. But this is crucial knowledge, because if you go take the opposite of what Srila Prabhupada was just describing, everybody is busy making plans on what? How to become happy. I shall become a doctor. I shall become a lawyer. I would like to be an artist. I shall be the best musician. I shall be the best this and that. So many plans we make. I will get the best grades in school. Now, I would be a complete idiot if you think I mean you shouldn't get A's. You should ace everything you do in school. But let's go on. Why should you do that? Because you know the purpose of life. If you don't know the purpose of life, that's what Srila Prabhupada is talking about. You go on making plans. I'm going to save up to get my Maserati. A couple more years I'll have enough to get it. I'm going to save up to get, I have an apartment now, but I want a 17-bedroom house, private bath in each bedroom. This would be great. Then I can invite my friends over. I'm going to say, if you have a 17-bedroom house, excellent, because you can use it to serve devotees. But if you don't have that kind of situation, and your so-called goal is to achieve that, you want a mansion on the hill, then you may get it in this birth, or you will definitely be coming back again, and you'll work on that same goal. How to become rich, how to become wealthy, how to become famous. So many things that people endeavor for. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 9:7 as follows. O son of Kunti, at the end of the millennium, all the living entities merge into my nature. And again, when the time of creation is right, I begin creation by the agency of my external energy. The word bhuya indicates again and again. That is to say that the process of creation, maintenance, and annihilation is going on perpetually by the external energy of the Lord. So this is birth and death. In the Kali Yuga, it's the name of the age we live in right now, a person is very lucky if they can live to be 90, 100 years old maximum. Prior ages, a person could live longer. But in all four ages, one thing was certain, and that is you have to leave the body. Even if you manage to make it all the way up to the higher regions in this universe, Gandharva Loka, certainly Brahma Loka, where Lord Brahma himself resides, still there's annihilation. That's what Krishna is talking about. So it's certain. And then when this annihilation takes place, when the Lord decides again, there's another creation. And all the living entities, that's us, all the living sparks, us. Krishna doesn't forget. So if you were at the point where you were a human being developing higher consciousness, you will take up a birth where you can again develop that. If you were a dog, a lion, a cat, a mouse, whatever point you were at, when the manifestation comes again, you start from that point. It's not like your slate is wiped clean, and now I have another birth, now I have an opportunity to do whatever I want. No. The only thing we will do is continue making plans. Plans to do this and that. So now we're beginning to see the mercy that Srila Prabhupada brought to the West, not only to the West, to the whole planet, through the mercy of Bhaktisiddhanta, who reawakened this flow of energy in India during his lifetime. He reawakened the necessity to study Srimad Bhagavatam, not for show, or not to say, oh yes, in my house I have Bhagavad Gita. I am having a long time Bhagavad Gita. I haven't read it yet, but I'm having a long time. You have to read Bhagavad Gita as it is, an authorized translation, because that's where this knowledge is. Let's get a little bit more of this purport. The word bhuya indicates again and again That is to say, the process of creation, maintenance, annihilation is going on perpetually by the external energy of the Lord. He is the cause of everything, but the living beings who are constitutionally part and parcels of the Lord and are forgetful of the sweet relation are given a chance again and again to get rid of the clutches of the external energy and to revive the living being's consciousness. The revealed scriptures are also created by the Lord. Vedic literatures are the guiding directions for the conditioned soul so they can get free from the repetition of creation and annihilation of the material world. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, material world and material body. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, this created world and material energy are under my control. Under the influence of Prakriti, automatically they are created again and again. And this is done by me through the agency of my external energy. Actually, the spiritual spark, the living entity, has no material names or forms. But in order to fulfill their desire, the Lord is to lord it over the material energy of material forms and names. They are given a chance for such false enjoyment. And at the same time, they are given a chance to understand the real position through the revealed scriptures. Srila Prabhupada is digging into our consciousness, and he's planting the most beautiful plant imaginable, transcendental knowledge. You can't go to Harvard and get this training. You won't get it at Emory. You can sign up for all different kinds of things, but you won't get transcendental knowledge unless you hear it from the great Mahabhagavats, like Srila Prabhupada. And what is the result? The result is that you can find out, finally, what is the goal of life. And when you find that out, it doesn't mean that you sacrifice everything you want to do. You can be the greatest musician, but if you do it for Krishna, that's different. You can be an expert artist. You can be an expert anything. You can practice medicine. Look at our dear Adi Gadadhar Prabhu. He's an expert doctor, but he's also a Vaishnava devotee, a Krishna. So it depends on how you engage whatever you have. Maybe you're not expert in anything. Maybe once a week you feel like, sweeping your yard. That's about all you can do. If you do it in an expert manner, with your consciousness that this is not my yard, this whole property belongs to Krishna, and I'm trying to the best of my ability to make it clean for Krishna, it's a different mentality. Very simple. So you don't have to be scholarly trained in anything, or if you are scholarly trained in anything, everything, still it has to be dovetail. Srila Prabhupada used that word. A dovetail joint brings two pieces of wood together so that they fit, they hold. So if we dovetail our lives with Krishna, we don't have any problem. If we don't, what happened? We got a problem here. Houston, I'm not connected. Our life has to be dovetail with Krishna. The minute you're thinking, I can do, hello, we've lost the connection. Of course, on a deeper level, now Krishna never abandons us. So as long as we want to wander, upper, lower, middle planetary system, he allows that. He's never going to take your freedom of decision making. The Lord will not force you to love Him. The one thing He wants from each one of us is our love. It's the only thing He wants. And even that, even though He has the ability, He will not take it. He will not force it from you. Quite amazing. So it's up to us to decide. When am I going to start trying to, once again, dovetail with the Lord? And then all material problems will eventually cease. The foolish and forgetful living being is always busy with false forms and false names. Modern nationalism is the culmination of such false names and false forms. Men are mad after false names and forms. The form of body obtained under certain conditions is taken up as factual, and the name also taken bewilders the conditioned soul into misusing the very energy in the name of so many isms. The scriptures, however, supply the clue for understanding the real position, but men are reluctant to take lessons from the scriptures created by the Lord for different places and times. For example, the Bhagavad Gita is the guiding principle for all human beings, but by the spell of material energy, they do not take care to carry out the programs of life in terms of the Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavatam is a postgraduate study of knowledge for one who has thoroughly understood the principles of Bhagavad Gita. Unfortunately, people have no taste for them, and therefore they are under the clutches of Maya for repetition of birth and death. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So he makes it crystal clear if you follow this. And if you don't follow it, the books are there. So you can go to your house, home, take up this first volume of Srimad Bhagavatam and read this and start to pull this nectar out. You can take your Bhagavad Gita, read it. The nectar is there. Because it's very difficult in one day, one Sunday afternoon, where we're all thinking about Mahaprasadam and samosas and ice cream and so many different savory things that we can taste. That's where the mind is.
Cheesecake.
Very, very difficult to keep focus sometimes in whatever. Imagine if you did sign up with Every, and your very first week you're thinking, okay, where's my degree? How ludicrous is that? You go to Every for 1 week, and now I'm a biologist. Does that happen? You got to do a little study. You got to put in some years of study. So with this transcendental knowledge, you have to put in some study. That is not to say a fortunate person, through the mercy of Krishna, one visit to the temple may be enough. If Krishna decides once, the person has chanted Hare Krishna, he says, once you chant Hare Krishna, and that's it, you can go back to the spiritual world. But don't hang around if you think that's going to be your golden gem. You think, I'll do all kinds of nonsense, and then just when I'm feeling like I'm coming to the end, I'll just say, Hare Krishna. Won't happen. But it could happen if Krishna sees that you're a devotee in that position. We will try to finish up here. Back to Chaitanya.Every. Krishna Buli se jiva anadi brahma mukha ataiva maya tarideya samsara dukkha. Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy, Maya, gives him all kinds of misery in this material existence. So that's a summary of why we're going through all this. We've just become forgetful of Krishna. Very simple. It's not like you need a degree to understand this. Why are we suffering? Why did we come here to this world? Planet Earth. Why were you born on planet Earth? We're lucky because we were all born into a human body. How many other types of animals on this planet right now? Nobody can even count. Who even considers, the little ants crawling around? There might be one by your seat right now. So who knows? But that's a birth. So how fortunate is this human birth? The ant cannot appreciate Krishna. It's got to go through this type of evolution from an ant's body all the way back up. That's real evolution. Where you're born, you die, you go to the next species. It's not like evolution in the quote Darwin methodology, that the body is trying to find out a better situation. It's total nonsense. You transmigrate. Bhaktisiddhanta, in his teachings of the Lord Chaitanya, he gave a very scholarly synopsis of what is this evolution of the living being. It has nothing to do with Darwinism, but it's an evolution through the different grades of how the living entity has forgotten and can once again learn to appreciate Krishna. Up here on this painting, not all of you can see it, but up here in the center, we have the 10 major incarnations of Krishna. And he explains how Krishna comes in those particular ways. One reason behind it, there's many reasons, but one reason he comes in a way that devotees can reciprocate to that particular incarnation. And why is he doing that? Giving them the opportunity to again come back to the spiritual realm. In the spiritual realm, then there's no more birth, death, old age, and disease. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadi. We get rid of it. Because what is there? Service. And not service like the mind may be telling us in this world. My boss wants me to do this project. He's giving me only 1 week. My wife wants me to mow the lawn and do the dishes and everything. I can't do it all. My friend is expecting it. That's service here in this world. That's useless service. Real service to Krishna has nothing negative about it. It's blissful. That requires another many classes to explain the bliss of devotional service. But it's not material activity. So there's nothing negative about it. The devotees, the nitya muktas, are always in bliss. Maya mugda jivera nahi swata Krishna jam jivera kripaya kaliya Krishna veda purana. The conditioned soul cannot revive his Krishna consciousness by his own effort. But out of causeless mercy, Lord Krishna compiled the Vedic literature and its supplements, the Puranas. So, very important verse. Because some people will tell you, do I have to worship God? Do I have to go to the church? Do I have to go to the temple? Do I have to, so many things. So this is why you have to inquire. The answer to that question actually is yes. If you're serious. That's like, again, I'm using this Emory analogy. But if you're thinking, I'm going to become a doctor, but do I have to go to Every? I just want to, I got a nice sign already made up. And I can put it on my office right now. Dr. Frog. I'm a doctor of everything, whatever your problem. No, you can't do it. You need some help. So that's why Krishna gave the Vedas. It's not like some man sat down and wrote up some stories, some mythology, like Zeus. And what are all the Greek? Who knows Greek mythology here? Anybody remember this? We were taught Greek mythology in school. Or we taught so many other types of things. But we have to know factually. And the only way to know factually is by Sabda Brahman, this divine transcendental vibration. Bhakyaham ekaya graya shradayam priya satam bhakti punaitimam nishta swapaka api sambhavat. Being very dear to the devotees and sadhus, I have attained through unflinching faith and devotional service. The Bhakti Yoga system, which gradually increases attachment for me, purifies even a human being born among dog eaters. That is to say, everyone can be elevated to the spiritual platform by the process of bhakti yoga. So literally, Lord Chaitanya is giving everyone this opportunity to get your PhD in material life. That's simple. You can get a PhD in material life by this process. And this process is so simple that sometimes it's overlooked. What is this process? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is the process. Let's finish this up. Daridra nasa bhava krishaya premera palanaya prema sukha boga mukha prayojanahaya. The goal of love of Godhead is not to become materially rich or free from material bondage. The real goal is to be situated in devotional service to the Lord and to enjoy transcendental bliss. And finally, we're going to leave off with this quote, which Kaviraj Prabhu, Krishnadas Kaviraj Maharaj, he gives this quote in the Chaitanya.Every, which is the quote of the first verse in the Brahma Samhita. Very nice verse. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karuna Karanam. I would like you to try it this time. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarva Karuna Karanam. Krishna, who is known as Govinda, is the supreme controller. He has an eternal, blissful, spiritual body. He is the origin of all. He has no other origin, for he is the prime cause of all causes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Any questions? Any point not clear? Yes, Prabhu.
So earlier you were talking about the difference between Nitya Mukta and Nitya Vada. And it's easy to understand the term eternal in the context of Nitya Mukta. They never fall out of bliss. They never forget Krishna. Nitya Vada, it's talking about eternally forgetful. And yet at the same time, we have a chance continually over and over again to come out. So what's the difference between the meaning of eternal in those two situations?
Nice question. Eternal in that sense, we have to understand how Krishna gives us this freedom of choice. He will never take that away. So that freedom of choice is to choose to completely ignore him, to become even to the point of an atheist person, with that mentality where you will argue with and just beat a person who even thinks about religion, because you're totally against it. You don't want to hear anything about it. So Krishna made the arrangement of the material world where that can take place. So a person, by choice, can do that. He can get so far away from Krishna that it's eternal. Everything is actually eternal. But our sense of time in this world is very limited. We don't understand the full nature of time. Krishna himself says in Bhagavad Gita, he actually is time. And he will come for the atheists. So in that sense, but on the other hand, if you flip that over, how can we understand something is eternal in the spiritual world, where they never leave? Because here, we obviously left. We're here. So it's a perplexing question, and I'm glad you raised that. And the way to see that, the answer is in what we're discussing. Actually, that's one of the questions Parikshit Maharaj raised when he's trying to understand this whole thing. When you go into the Bhagavatam, it's the 10th canto where this comes about. It's the chapter where the prayers of the personified Vedas, a very deep chapter in understanding how can you even talk about something spiritual? Because all we know is material. So that brings up this other point in time, and that is our language. Here in the West, we're very familiar with English, but there are other languages, Spanish, French, and of course, from the East we know Hindi, Sanskrit, Bengali, Urdu. There's so many languages all over this planet. And that's the tool that anybody in any embodied condition uses to understand something. So how can the Vedas, this question came up, how can language, which is material, how can language even describe something transcendental? A very deep question. And I'm going to leave everybody hanging. I'm not going to give that answer. Shukadev gave the answer in practically one verse, but we'll continue that the next time. I'm kind of encouraging everybody to read the prayers of the personified Vedas. It's in Srimad Bhagavatam, the 10th canto, and you'll get deeper insight into the nature of what is a transcendental vibration and what is a material. Material vibration is going to keep us here. Like I said, if my meditation is, I got to get this Maserati. I'm working for the Maserati. I'm going to have my Maserati. It's material vibration. The same tongue I can say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If that's what we want, that's what we can have. Hare Krishna. Any other point, question? Wait till Prabhu's. Oh, he's here. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Let's give a round of applause for Goparaj for wonderful describing the Chaitanya and glory. Hari Bol.
Prabhupada ki.
So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as Goparaj Prabhu described, is the most magnificent and merciful incarnation of Krishna. And he came 500 years ago. And we were worshipping Lord Chaitanya every day. So Prabhupada gave this name, place, Panihati Dham. Non-different from the Panihati in nearby Calcutta. Where Lord Nityananda had a beautiful pastime. So we'll just Rashini Singh, are you here? Rashni Singh.
It's Rashmi actually.
Rashniya?
It's Rashmi.
Rashni, okay, come, please come. And also I like to call Rajiv Shyam Prabhu and Pavitra Leta Mataji and Girija. Mataji, please come and do mini arati. Rangeshti. Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So Rashmi, she's always coming to the temple and she's always do some seva. Whatever seva you ask her, she will do it. She's so humble. So very nice. And we'd like to thank her for sponsoring Sunday Feast. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So I'd like to also thank many devotees. We just had a big festival last week. We had a very big festival, Rath Yatra and Pani Handi festival. So I'd like to thank these devotees. Our temple president said we should thank these devotees who have tremendously helped this festival to have a beautiful festival for all the Metro Atlanta people, devotees, friends, well-wishers, congregations, and devotees from all other temples to have come and enjoy this festival. And it was not possible if these devotees not come forward and help the festival. So I'd like to mention a few devotees' names. Especially I'd like to mention our temple president, Vedasar Prabhu. Let's give a round of applause for Vedasar Prabhu. All the permission for the Rath. And then we have Mahaguna Mataji, who organized the festival. And then we have Vrinda Bright, Lakhan Prabhu, Dulal, Ujjeshwari Mataji, Chitra Prabhu, and he's standing there, Radha Krishna Prabhu, Srinivas staff family. They gave us those 3 limousines to take Jagannath from temple to downtown. Then we have Sweta Sarupji. We have Adi Gadala Prabhu, Jai Kumar Prabhu, Raju and family, Sita Priya Mataji and Lakshman Prabhu. So these are the many devotees who actually helped to organize the festival. There are many devotees on the side, they also help to have this festival like Nitai Prabhu and many others. So if I have forgotten, please forgive me. But we thank you all for all your contribution, all your service to Lord Jagannath, Rath Yatra and Pani Handi festival. Thank you once again from the bottom of our heart and from Iskcon Atlanta. Hari Bol. So we have next big festival. What is that? Janmashtami, yes. Balaram Purnima, but the main big festival is going to be Janmashtami. Okay, and that is coming on the 6th September on Wednesday, 2023. So just pencil that date in your calendar so you can be prepared. It's a Wednesday. I know many of you will be working, but devotees, we want them to come also and help the temple so that we can have a wonderful festival. But we will not go in details. We will later on announce everything. And then on 13 June, Tuesday, there will be Jogini Ekadashi. We observe Ekadashi by fasting from grains and beans. How many of you follow Ekadashi? Raise your hand. Okay. And if you didn't, if you are not following, please try to inquire one of those devotees how you can follow Ekadashi. Ekadashi is very nice to follow and it pleases Krishna very much, and especially Srimati Radharani. And plus, your door to hell stops if you just follow Ekadashi. It's so powerful. Krishna came when Narayana went to hellish planet. He created this Ekadashi by seeing the suffering of the human beings in the hellish planet. And he created Ekadashi and he said, anyone who follows Ekadashi, they will not be able to come, or they will not come to the hellish planet. They can either go heavenly planet or even to Vaikuntha planet. So powerful. So Ekadashi day is very nice to observe from grains and beans. That means you cannot eat no rice, no dal, no chapati. Sometimes people think, oh, I will not eat rice, but I can eat chapati. But Ekadashi means no chapati, no dal, no rice, no bread. So Ekadashi, and then on the 17th June, we have Bhakti Vinod Thakur Disappearance Day. Bhakti Vinod Thakur, you see these pictures on the altar? I think the third picture is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. So this is his disappearance day. We'll be celebrating in the daytime. So if you have time, please come. We'll be glorifying him. We'll be chanting, doing some bhajan for his glorious activities. And then there is a fasting until noon. If you can fast until noon, that would be great. But if you cannot fast, you can take water or some fruits. Then when you have, in temple, we'll have a feast at 1 o'clock. So you can join the feast or you can have feast in your own place. So this is Bhakti Vinod Thakur. Bhakti Vinod Thakur is the father of our Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada's Guru, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we'll go on the 17th, so please come. Actually, we'll start around 10:30, we'll have Kirtan. Then it will be followed by more bhajans, and then there will be a noon arati, and then there will be a Pushpanjali, Bhoga offering and Guru Puja, and then there will be Prasad. This is on Tuesday. So let me say how many of you can come. Can you raise your hand if you are coming? We can prepare. Okay, it's only very few. So we know. So we can arrange a very nice feast for all of you when you come. Okay, thank you all. Any other questions? Any other announcement? Okay. So we'll have prasadam outside. Now you can all come and take the final version of the deities, and the puja will give you blessing. Thank you. Hare Krishna.